Okay, I'm going to show you how to install this Flex Fuel Plus system on this is a 2004 Mustang GT. This process should be the same for all the SN95 series of Mustangs, but I have to make a disclaimer that if you do this modification, you do so at your own risk. Now, it works on my car because I know obviously I know I got it done right. I've already installed it on my car, and I'll just show you the things that you need to know. Anywho, let's see if I can keep my finger out of the way here. Okay, we'll start with setting up the fuel system. Now, first thing you got to do is you got to disconnect first you got to purge the pressure in the system, in the fuel system, and then you can do that one of two ways. You can trip the safety switch that's in the back of the vehicle, right behind the driver's side tail light. There's a little red button you'll see, and if you trip it, it'll be popped out, and it'll cut off power to the fuel pump. Or you can go in here and take out the let's see, the fuse. See if I can get around here. Of course, this is where the fuse box is. And, you can take that off, and it'll be this fuse here that supplies the fuel pump. You pull that out, and it'll stop, keep the fuel pump from maintaining pressure in the system. After you do that, the next thing you got to do to purge the system is you'll have to go in and start the car up, and it may start running if there's still enough gas in the system, and it'll eventually sputter and die, or it may not start at all. Once that's been completed, the next thing you'll need to do is disconnect the negative battery terminal. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, now we can get started on installing the kit here. Let's see if I can get some light down in here. So you can see there's my installation right there. First thing you need to do, you're going to need to take out the OEM hose that goes from the metal fuel pipe just down the bottom here. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can get enough light on it. But you can see the hose clamp down there, and then you see the connector there, and it's plugged into the fuel line way down there. Okay, so you need to cut these. If you do it my way, you can cut them so that the routing of the hose is the way I got here. But you do need to take out the OEM hose, which also connects up to. Let me lay down the flashlight, the trouble light here, and it comes from that metal fuel line right up here to the input of this thing here. Now I found I had to do a slit on the OEM cable in order to get it off, because it was kind of tough to do. And well, as usual, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me start again. Before I go any further, make sure you're wearing safety glasses just in case it's not totally depressurized on the gas. You don't want to be getting that up in your eyeballs. And it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to wear some nitrile gloves too, to keep the gasoline off your hands. Let's see. Okay, there's my screwdriver. It's kind of hard to get down in here and look at this at the same time as pointing, but it's, let's see, that Middle line is right about there. If I can get it to come into focus. But you know how that goes with these things. But this is the metal fuel line right down here. And when you take that OEM connector off, it's got a retaining clip on it. All you need to do is get a flat blade screwdriver and just pop that thing off, and then the hose will pull right out. And then you got to go over here to that OEM hose comes over here and connects to this side of the regulator. And so I had to use a knife to slit down lengthwise here because it was on so tight and I couldn't get it off, and so I slit it and then pulled it off. Anyway, so that part of this thing's done. Now down at the bottom here where it plugs into the metal line, a gas line, you're going to need a 7.9 millimeter connector. The ones that came with the kit, they were all like 9.6, and they weren't snug enough to keep the fuel from leaking out. And since it wasn't in the kit, I had to go down to the local automotive shop and auto parts store and pick up one. They just happened to have the Dorman type, and they had them both in right angle and straight. But in this case, you only really need a straight one, and then you'll cut your hose and then put your connector on each end, and then they should slide right in. The right angle one here, let me get this out of the way, it's lose my focus. This right angle deal right here, it's got an O-ring on the tip of the nozzle that goes inside the hose, and you need to grease that up, and then just plug it right in there, and then you plug it into the fuel sensor right here, which is part of the kit, and you can see the disconnect button right here, this white button on both sides. You press both sides and it'll pop off. And but anyway, it's a right angle one, which works out for this particular deal. And then you got your hose clamps here, and there's one down there where it plugs into the metal fuel line. That one down there is kind of tough to do. Had to spend a bit of time with a 7 millimeter wrench to tighten that down. Anyway, so this slides onto this side of the sensor. It doesn't matter which side it really plugs into, because apparently it's not a directional kind of sensor deal. And then I got a straight one over here that came in the kit, and as you can see, I got it also had a O-ring on it that needed to be greased up before sliding it into the hose. And you just cut the hose to whatever length you would like it to be. Maybe you'll want to route this fuel line a lot differently than what I did, but this seemed like a pretty convenient way of doing it. And then you got a hose clamp on the regulator here. On the other side of the regulator, it's an OEM hose, and it goes right into the fuel rail. So and then you got your connector right here that goes over to the control box, and it sends a signal over there telling how much ethanol content you have flowing through here. And it's always good practice, or at least I think it's good practice, we'll put some whatchamacallit, he put some dielectric grease on it, and that helps with the waterproofing. So I don't think you need to put any more wire loom like I have here. This was on the original one, so I thought I'll just keep it on there. But you can also put a wire loom on across here if you really want to. And I got a wire loom across here for this this connector to give it extra protection against engine heat and that kind of thing. I don't think it get hot enough to be a problem, but you never know. And that's pretty much all you really need to do as far as getting the fuel line put in here. The next thing you need to do is the electrical with the fuel injectors and the control box. I'll be starting on the other side of and do the 4 injectors on the other bank, but there's a set of injectors underneath this hose plenum here, and so this is going to have to be removed. You just unscrew it right here, and let's see, right down here, that thing there, and loosen it up, and that thing should pull right out. And these connectors, these hose lines will just pull right out, so that's not a big deal there. And then once that's all done, you can get access to the injectors. You can probably see one right now. You can see the orange there peeking through from underneath the fuel rail. Let's see, there's the fuel rail right there, and there's an ejector down there. Anyway, the process of doing this, doing these injectors is the same for all sides. Now, they say to get out a multimeter and try to find which connection on the OEM connector is going to be your positive side. The negative side is switched, so the positive sides are all tied together. If you ever looked at the service manual, you'll see all the positive sides of the injectors tied together. So when you measure from one positive terminal to the other, you'll have continuity. And since these have never been changed, it should be fairly easy to do this. This is the OEM. This gray one here is or bluish gray, whatever you want to call it. This is the OEM plug, and you can see the red wire down there. On mine, they're all the positive terminals. It's pin number 1 is what they call it in the service manual, and the one to the right of it is your ground. Now you need to know which one's the positive terminal, because you need to this black connector here is not assembled like it is now. The 2 wires here are loose, and this is pretty much empty. So once you know which terminal is the positive side, then you can slide the black housing here in here, and then match up with the positive side on the OEM connector, and then slide your red one in here like it is here. So you got the red one going to the red one, and then the other one, that yellow one, is going to be your ground. Now you can stick a pin down in the connector on the OEM plug, and do that on all the other OEM plugs to find out, to confirm whether they're the positive ones or not. So that's up to you if you want to take that time. I don't know if it'll cause any problems, but by not checking it like that, but I advise you to do that. Let's see, right back behind this is where the injector is. and this is the cable that goes with it that we're working on. And this one is assembled in the kit. Where is my hand? There it is. So it only plugs in one way. So you can't get the polarity reversed. You just plug it right in there. And this black connector that goes into the OEM plug only plugs in one way. So once you get the polarity set, it's set. And if you're wondering what this is back here, this is called this is a CLP, which stands for coil on plug. And we're not messing with those, but it's basically a coil that you slide over top of a plug that's down inside the well there. And a lot different from the good old days when we had distributors in a single coil. Anyway, so, and you can use some wire loom to dress things up and keep things somewhat organized. This wire right here is actually a temperature sensor that the control box needs information from in order to determine whether to do a cold start or a warm start. My understanding is that it puts more fuel into down and through the injectors on a cold start when you get below like 32 degrees. And that happens around here. Now I took my my control unit down here. Now when you get this control unit, it's going to have a cable, pre-made cable that's set up for 4 injectors. So and it's got 4 other cables that are used for the other 6 and 8 cylinder engines, and there's an extra cable separate from that, and you just plug them in, and you down here, and then you plug them in on the other end just like you would on this side. You get the connectors made up and get the polarity right, and you'll be good to go. So let's see, where is one of them here? Okay, there's one right there. This is one of the extra injector cables, and there's 4 of them like this. And it's best to use dielectric grease on them too to help with waterproofing. Well, hopefully I've given you enough to get started on here, but it's really a fairly easy job to do. You know, I told you all the things that you need to watch out for. There is one other thing. There's a ground that you need to connect up. I might move this to another location, but it seems to work okay for me. Anywho, there's an app that comes with this thing. So once you get the fuse put back into the fuse box, or you reset the button, the safety button in the back, then you can start the car up and check for leaks. And there's also an app that you can get for this thing, and that you can get from the Play Store, or I think there's one for Apple too. And then you can the main screen will give you some information like RPM, and it'll also tell you duty cycle. Anything less than 5% is a good duty cycle. And it's got a snowflake icon on there, and that has to do with the temperature of the engine, and that probably won't light up except in very cold weather. And then below that you got options for economy, dynamic, and sport modes. For I don't know if there's much of a difference between them, but if you like the hot rod, I guess you'd want to go with sport. I put mine on dynamic, and it defaults to the metric system on temperature and speed. So there's settings in there that you can change that on, and also it's got a bar along the bottom. On this, you got 8 cylinders, so all 8 of them should be lit up. If any of them are grayed out, then it means you got a problem with one of your one or more injectors, and you need to investigate that. But I would imagine if there's something wrong with any of the injectors, you'd have a pretty rough idle. So there you go. I guess that's it in a nutshell. You'll probably want to experiment with some of the stuff on the app. There's some other stuff in there that might be of interest to you, and including a way to register your setup. But you got to have Wi-Fi access to do it. There you go. Any questions? Let me know.